As a tech reviewer, I often get asked what my favorite piece of tech is, and usually it's some sort of compact camera. But lately, my favorite gadget at the moment is not exactly a camera, although it does have one built in. And of course, I'll explain more about that later. But it is a hybrid robot vacuum and mop that not only cleans your floors, but it also cleans itself.
Start washing the mopping pad with hot water. You might hear a bit of noise.
This is the Ecovacs Deebot X8 Pro Omni, and I never thought I'd get so excited about a vacuum, but let's be real. Everyone needs a clean home, and if you're like me, you probably don't enjoy the whole cleaning process. So having a robot that does it all for you could be a real game changer. In this video, I'm going to show you how easy it is to set up and get it going, and also highlight some key features. And I'm also going to get my house cleaned because I've purposely been holding off on that for a while now, so we can see just how well this robot vacuum can clean. When I first unboxed this robot, the first thing I noticed was how big the overall package was. You definitely need a rather large dedicated space for the full station. This is where the robot docks itself, charges itself, and cleans itself. So after finding a place for the robot dock, you put the robot vacuum into the bottom slot to charge, and then you've got to fill up one of these tanks up here with clean water. And also fill up the mopping solution tank so that it can properly mop. So let's go fill this guy up with some water. So this actually is not my first robot vacuum. I used to have a Roomba like nearly 10 years ago when they first became popular. And it did all right back then. I used it pretty often. But honestly, I hated that I still had to empty the dustbin and clean the vacuum itself. And I always found that it just did an okay job. I usually still had to vacuum after it did its thing. So gradually, I stopped using that Roomba and it sat in the corner collecting dust. And eventually, I sold it. So I'm really excited to see how far robot vacuum cleaners have come. And I am ultra excited that this one is supposed to clean itself. So once the tank is full of clean water, just drop it back into the docking station. By now your robot vacuum should be pretty charged up, so it's time to connect it to the Ecovacs phone app. After you connect to the app, the first thing you'll want to do is map your home out so the robot knows its boundaries. So when the robot is doing its mapping process, it's using what's called dual laser leader mapping to create a real-time 3D map of your house. This way it can recognize obstacles and avoid things like cables or small furniture while it's doing its cleaning routine. The other nice thing you can do is integrate the robot with a voice assistant app like Google Assistant or Alexa. And it even has its own voice assistant called Yiko. Alright, so the mapping process has been completed. It took a little over 3 minutes for the vacuum to map this room, this area. It's like my living room / my kitchen / dining room. And so, fairly small space, but it mapped it pretty quickly. And looking at the map, I do think it's pretty accurate. So now we're gonna get started with the clean. Now to test just how good this vacuum / mop is, I set up a couple of challenges in the kitchen. I squirted some mustard on the floor, something really wet and goopy and pretty thick. We're gonna see just how well it can do with that. And we also have some banana. My son just started eating solids this past month, and so he often drops food on the floor. Last night it was banana. And since it's been sitting overnight, it is pretty stuck on the floor. So we're gonna see just how well this robot can clean up those messes. So we're gonna take a look at the app, we're gonna dial in our settings, we're gonna do vacuum and mop, we're gonna do standard suction power, we're gonna do just one cleaning pass, and let's go ahead and see how it does. Now you might notice that my house mainly has concrete or hardwood floors, and I also have rugs covering many of the areas. When I manually clean, it usually takes me double the time, because first I have to vacuum, and then I have to go back and mop the hard floors. I am so excited for this robot vacuum in particular, because it should do both of those tasks for me. Now that the robot is cleaning, let's talk about the top new feature on this robot vacuum. The new Osmo Roller Mop, which has 16 precision nozzles to constantly deliver fresh water while removing dirty water in real time. This basically means that it's cleaning itself as it's cleaning your floors. So it's not just spreading dirty mop water around like most other mops do. It also spins at 200 RPM with 4,000 Pascal of downward pressure. This means that it's scrubbing deep instead of just gliding over your floors. All right, let's go see how it's doing so far. All right, very nice. So it looks like it is mopping this hardwood floor. I love that it is being so efficient, like it's going back and forth, basically how I would do it if I was mopping myself, and also seems to be leaving the floor really shiny. All right, now that we're done with the excessive mess demo, let's see how the robot handles mopping corners and edges. Notice that it has an extendable mop roller. It also has TrueEdge 2.0 technology, and these two work together to thoroughly clean nooks and crannies that most mopping robots and non-robots really fail at. Basically, this gives me the confidence that I won't have to go back and manually clean those areas after the robot has done its job, like I used to have to do with my old Roomba. All right, the robot is here cleaning almost at my feet actually, and I'm noticing just how quiet it is, especially considering that it's currently vacuuming. I really hate how loud traditional vacuums are. There's even a quiet mode on the app, which you can use if you're doing like a late night clean or cleaning early in the morning. I also noticed that the volume of the vacuum changes a bit as it goes from hard floors to carpets, which indicates that it's automatically adjusting suction based on floor type. And again, you can actually ask for more suction or less suction depending on the type of carpets that you have. Now, when it's vacuuming, the X8 Pro has 18,000 Pascal of suction power, which means it's powerful enough to pick up dust and large debris with ease. But here's something that every pet owner or long-haired person will appreciate: Zero Tangle 2.0 technology. If you've ever used a robot vacuum, or really any vacuum for that matter, you know that getting long strands of hair wrapped around the brush is a huge pain. Now, I don't have a pet, but I do have long hair. And here's a bunch of it from my hairbrush. So I'm just going to sprinkle it on the floor here, and we'll see how well the vacuum does with it. The X8 Pro Omni solves this hair tangling problem with a V-shaped roller brush that guides hair toward the center instead of letting it wrap around the edges. There are also spiral rubber strips that help prevent long strands from tangling, and a built-in comb that actively detangles hair in real time, so you'll never have to stop and cut the hair out of the brush. The X8 Pro Omni also has TrueEdge 2.0 technology, which I mentioned earlier, but let's go into more detail about that. This tech includes extendable edge brushes that move outward to reach corners and baseboards, as well as a floating roller design that adapts to floor height and ensures deep cleaning along the edges. It also has smart AI navigation that detects tight places and adjusts accordingly instead of avoiding them. The V8 Pro Omni also has AI obstacle avoidance, and this is made even more effective because of the built-in camera that is in the robot. Now, not all robot vacuums have built-in cameras, but those that do, such as the X8 Pro Omni, have enhanced AI-powered visual recognition thanks to the camera. This helps the robot identify objects, map rooms, and also adjust cleaning paths to real-life scenarios, like when someone gets in their way. So the robot is cleaning in the other room. I'm gonna go mess with it a bit and see how it does with sudden obstacles showing up in its path. I could see this being pretty relevant for my kids who really are intrigued by the vacuum or the robot so far.
I like that robot. Squeeze our chairs.
Doing a pretty good job of responding to me pretty actively, while still trying to get as close to me as possible to clean. Within the Echovacs phone app, you can also get a live preview of what the robot is seeing in its camera, and you can even control its movements. You can also live stream for the robot's camera, and you might want to use this to do something like check on parts of your home, like side doors or windows or even pet areas. It could be really helpful if you're not home and you want to be like, did I lock that window or close that back door? Or how's my dog or cat doing? Once the X8 Pro Omni is done cleaning, it then docks into the Omni Station, where it washes itself with hot water and also dries the mop with hot air to prevent bacteria buildup.
Start washing the mopping pad with hot water. You might hear a bit of noise.
It also changes out the mop water with the Tyneco constant pressure water renewal technology, and this ensures that the mop is always cleaning with fresh water. Finally, the vacuum empties itself into the docking station, so you don't have to touch dust or dirt. Now, occasionally you might have to take out the dustbin or dump some dirty water, and also refill clean water from the station, but you definitely don't have to do it after every single clean, so it's pretty hands-off in terms of maintenance. Overall, considering that it vacuums, mops, and it cleans itself, all with efficiency, I think it's worth the cost. I mean, I would be spending as much money or time, if not more, to do it myself or to hire someone else to do the job instead. And since this is a robot, I can have it clean literally any time of day that I want. It's not on any set schedule unless I put it on one. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. Would you buy this robot vacuum, or anyone for that matter? I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, please let me know, because I know that this is a little bit out of the ordinary from the typical products that I review, but I am trying to branch out and try new things and just see what other types of technology are out there. So I would love your feedback. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.